The Catwalk Podcast showcases the greatest of the people of the Permian Basin through partnering in conversation with high-level leaders, social entrepreneurs, nonprofit leadership, and industry executives.
Well, welcome all you catwalkers back to another week of broadcast excellence. I would be your host, Jay Whitlow, and I am joined, as always, sitting across the room on the controls is Chris. What's up, Chris?
Oh, not a lot. How are you?
You hanging out today?
I'm trying.
How was your weekend?
It was pretty good. I had some wrestling to watch, just hung out.
Wrestling?
Yes.
What'd you see?
The Royal Rumble was this weekend.
Oh, was it?
Yes.
Did you go check out, what's that, the Iron Claw?
I did.
That
we
movie?
went and watched it on Friday evening.
What's your take on that?
I thought it was really good. I thought it stuck to the main points pretty well.
Yeah?
They left some things out. They kind of skirted over a few things, but overall, the major talking points were addressed.
Well, that's good. That's good. What grade would you give it?
Let's say if we're going out of 5, 4.5.
That's not bad. That's not bad. You're a good movie reviewer. Hey, do you own a tux?
I used to. I don't own one anymore.
I got to talk to you about a tux. So, do you like wearing tuxes?
I don't mind it.
Tuxedos?
I enjoy dressing well for certain occasions. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to do it every day, but I don't mind when I need to do it.
Yeah. So, I got to wear a tux this week, at the end of the week. My daughter is in this thing called the Bell Ball here in Midland, and she's a senior, and I have to present her. So I'm to wear a full tux. So I'm a little confused as to what the full tux means, because to me, a full tux is the shiny shoes. They got to be real shiny, right? You got to be able to see your reflection in the shoe. The pants, the jacket, that's a tux jacket, obviously, and the tie, the bow tie. That's the full tux, right?
So when I had my tux, I got my first tux when I was in college, and I was in the symphony orchestra, and they would say full tux was the shoes, the slacks, the cummerbund, the shirt, the jacket, the bow tie, but also like the cufflinks and the button covers.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't have cufflinks, and I don't have the cummerbund. What's the purpose of a cummerbund? That's the weirdest word.
I'm guessing it's a crumb catcher.
Then why isn't it called a crumberbund?
I don't know.
Like, what's a cummerbund? If you're out there and you know what a cummerbund is and you can school me on this, I would love for you to do that.
I think it's to hide people who have guts like mine.
Then why not call it a gut bomb?
It's a cummerbund, encumbering the gut.
Okay, encumbering the gut. Okay, we're gonna go with that for now. Okay, one last question before I tell you about our guest. So, if you're going to put two iconic singers together, what two iconic, like forever, iconic that are still alive, iconic singers would you put together in a one-night only concert?
It wouldn't be anybody from U2. So,
Okay.
but I don't know. Like, I'd have to really think on that. Like, what am I looking for? What kind of style am I listening to? But off the top of my head, I don't know. My style of music, it'd be kind of cool to have something where you're pairing, like, Chris Isaac, who I listen to a lot.
Nice.
With somebody kind of pop modern or somebody more rock heavy.
Yeah.
So, or we could just do like Nickelback and Creed, dad rock.
Okay.
100%.
Iconic, not horrible. Okay.
You like U2. You can't pass judgment on anybody.
That's true. Okay. So I got this notification that for one night only, Billy Joel and Sting
That'd be kind of
doing a concert together. That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
As the teenagers would say, that slays. I think that's. Am I using that right?
Don't do that.
Don't. Okay. So Billy Joel and Sting in one night. Now, if you're going to put them together in one night for one concert, where's the venue?
The Horseshoe.
Of course, the Horseshoe in Midland. No, what would you think? Madison Square?
I would probably, if somewhere in Dallas, maybe,
Yeah.
but maybe the Sphere or the Madison Square Garden, somewhere like that.
Yeah. Somewhere famous.
Right.
So, in my best iconic singing voice, I'm going to not singing, but speaking voice, I'm going to tell you where they're going to play. For one night only, Billy Joel and Sting, October the 25th, at the Alamo Dome.
Okay.
What does that do for you? Are you jumping right now? Are you dialing up to get tickets to that?
No. So
The Alamo Dome? Are you kidding me?
it is a large venue and it's fairly central, but there are better locations within that area.
Who in San Antonio listens to Billy Joel and Sting?
Hey, don't
Like
pass
7
judgment
people?
on the territory.
That when that came across, I'm like, who's going to that? Who's going to drive to San Antonio and see that? Now, maybe Austin, maybe Dallas, Houston, but I just don't get it. If you're going to put those two iconic singers together, man, let's make a big deal out of it, right?
They missed out on an excellent opportunity to book it at the Horseshoe.
They could have. That would have been the second choice. Well, my first choice for having a guest this week is my good friend Keith Stelter. Keith is from Alberta, which is right outside of Edmonton. Keith went to the University of Alberta and the Northern Alberta Institute of Technology. Now, Keith has worked in a lot of different areas, road construction, oil and gas. He's been in the Barnett Shale. He's worked in the Middle East. Obviously, he's from Canada. He's worked in Texas. But during COVID, and this is what I want to spend some time finding out from him in our interview, during COVID, he had to kind of reinvent some things, and he chose LinkedIn to put together some videos about the industry and problems and solutions, and he calls it the Tally Book Troubleshooting. And he's put these videos together, and they've become very well known, and they've become very important and famous in this industry, and we're going to talk to him about that. Currently, Keith is the Chief Strategy Officer for American Safety Services, and I'm excited for you to hear that interview. So after the break, please enjoy my interview with Keith Stelter.
Elevate your operation with Performance Chemical Company, the pioneers in redefining chemical solutions for the oil and gas industry in the Permian Basin. Unveiling groundbreaking ideas since 2017, our dry chemistry plant stands as a testament to innovation. Our products and services revolutionize water treatment, production, midstream, and saltwater disposals. We're your strategic partners in optimizing investments, slashing operating expenses. Performance Chemical Company. How you get there matters.
All right, welcome back to the Catwalk, and I have got my good friend Keith Stelter. Hey, Keith, welcome to the Catwalk.
Man, really appreciate you having me here. This is quite the studio you got. This is a lot fancier than what I'm used to.
Thank you. Well, I'm excited. I know you've got a show this week, and we're going to talk a little bit about what you're doing on LinkedIn. But I noticed that you are from Edmonton.
I grew up on a farm just outside of Edmonton, Alberta. Was great many years. Taught me hard work ethic. My dad was a truck driver in the wintertime, and we farmed summertime, and it was a great place. Alberta is pretty much the Texas of Canada. The only difference was our obsession was with hockey versus football. We had big lifted trucks, oil wells, and ranches everywhere, and instead of it being extremely hot like it is here, it's extremely cold, and you get a lot of snow. So a lot of similarities.
You wear a toboggan down here a lot?
So
Or is that the wrong term?
That is a term. My wife uses that, and the first time she ever said it to me, I'm like, why would I put a sled on my head? Because a toboggan, to me, is a wooden sled that kind of curves on the front.
Right.
So that's a toboggan to me. But, it's funny, someone in at American Safety asked me the same question. They're like, is it a toboggan? I'm like, no, I call that, you need to say a woolen cap or I say a toque.
A toque. Yeah,
toque.
I looked that up. It's a toque. Yeah, that's awesome.
Beanie is also acceptable.
Beanie, that's good. Yeah. Now
Not
I'm going to ask you some questions here in a little bit about your Canadian knowledge. But when's the last time you went back?
Man, it has been years. I got my citizenship. It's 3.5 years now. But before COVID, they had some crazy rules, and they shut it down for like some of the booze. Like, it was getting to the point where if you were a Canadian citizen and you went back and you didn't have all your shots, they were making you get all your shots before they let you leave the country. And
this was before COVID?
No, this was at COVID.
During COVID.
During
Okay,
COVID.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'd gone back just before COVID. My family came to visit.
Yeah.
And ever since then, with some of the crazy rules, I just have avoided it like the plague at this
Yeah.
point, because I was like, man, I don't know what's what, and I hear all kinds of different things. And now that I'm a U.S. citizen, I don't really feel the need. I'd like to go back because of the hockey stuff.
Yeah,
And probably if the Oilers do go to the Stanley Cup, I will go back. But that's about the only thing that's going to get me to go back to
Yeah.
Canada. Right
Now, you mentioned Edmonton. You got the jersey on.
Yes, sir.
Which jersey are you wearing?
So I'm wearing an old Linus Ullmark jersey.
Yeah.
He didn't play for the Oilers very long, but he had a very memorable moment where he got to the shootout and he did this crazy spinorama at center ice, and he smacked his stick on the ice and he flicked it in the net and he scored. And my dad is a farmer through and through. He takes vacations to go farming. So that's how he doesn't care about nothing. It gets him excited.
Wait, he takes vacations to go farming.
He has gone to Europe one time to visit the New Holland factory.
Okay.
He has gone to from Alberta to Michigan and Illinois to see cornfields and hang out. He'll just run out into a field when he sees a farmer doing something and just get in the tractor.
That's awesome.
So that's the only thing that gets him excited. When my dad saw Linus Ullmark do that spinorama move, he jumped out of the chair and he just started gesturing at the TV, all excited. It was the only time I ever saw my father get excited about something other than farming. So I had to get this jersey. It's signed on the back too.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And he didn't last. Like I said, he didn't last with the Oilers very long. Very talented guy. I don't know why, but that's.
Is that the only jersey you have?
Oh. No,
I'm sure you've got more.
You can go on LinkedIn. There's a nice family portrait when my family was down from Canada. We're all wearing Oilers jerseys and stuff. So the house is filled. They're in, let's see, I got 5 signed on the wall.
Yeah.
And probably 6 just sitting around the house that we wear watching during games. So there's no shortage. If you come over, you're going to. If you want to wear a jersey, we got jerseys for you.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm wearing the Dallas Stars.
Jamie Benn.
Yeah. And Chris over there is a big Devils fan, right? You Devils fan?
Yeah, Devils fan.
Yeah, how did you become a Devils fan?
When I lived in New York, my first NHL game was Rangers versus Devils.
Yeah.
And I watched Brodeur take a puck to the throat and keep going.
He was a tough guy.
That's good.
He's got the most wins all time. So
now the Oilers are 16 right now.
16 in a row wins. They have not lost this year.
Yeah.
They haven't lost since I think it was December 18th or something. And now we're going into the All-Star break, so they won't lose until sometimes in February. So pretty amazing little streak.
Have they played Dallas yet?
During that streak, I'm not sure.
I don't think
they are coming to town here, and we are thinking about going to the game. I don't know yet. We'll see.
Now you mentioned on LinkedIn there's a family photo.
Yeah.
With jerseys and everything. So let's talk about your family. How did you end up in Texas? Tell me that journey.
So growing up, I didn't get to play hockey. We were pretty poor farmers, so I was a thicker farm kid. So playing football was pretty easy. So I got to play football. I liked that a whole lot more and thought, where they get to play a lot of football? Texas. So I always wanted to work for some sort of oil company and get transferred down to Texas. And started my journey with Schlumberger, worked my way up, and eventually that opportunity came to where I got to transfer to Texas and ended up in a place called Cleburne, Texas.
Okay, yeah.
And met a nice girl there and got married. And, well, we've been back to Canada, back to the States, and we got 2 kids now, and we're just loving life. So
now, somebody told me there's a little story about your family. So
is.
your father-in-law, who I'm sure you're very close to,
sure.
before you got married, tell me about something about how
So my
he couldn't track
father-in-law-
you down or figure you out.
So my wife, comes from a very affluent family around the Cleburne, Texas area, and her father is Dale Hanna, and he just happens to be the district attorney for Johnson and Summerfeld County. And I'm sure Dale always was used to anybody his daughter dated, got to do a little background check on him. Well, here's this foreign citizen, and I know Dale's a powerful guy, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't have the ability to run just a casual background check on a Canadian citizen. So I know it drove him a little bit crazy, not knowing anything about my background. And I think one of the first times I met him, I was driving my motorcycle, and I had my wife on the back, or soon-to-be wife on the back, Erin, and I think I drove him a little bit crazy and stuff. But he got me back for years. All he really knew about Canada was a place called Calgary, which is close to Edmonton. And instead of calling me Keith, he would always call me Kevin. So for about 7 years,
It's a K word.
he called me Kevin. Kevin from Calgary, just as kind of probably a little dig. And but me and my wife, we started having kids, and he figured, I guess this is a long-term thing. So he finally gave in, and he calls me by the right name now. So I've been accepted. It only took about 7 years. I've told that story to a few folks, and when they hear it, they're just like, they can't believe, this guy would kind of do that. Even the president of Petrofac, John Glitherhero, he heard that one time, and he's a Texan through and through, and he just was laughing his ass off. So
That's awesome.
whenever I text him, he'll always be like, "How's Kevin from Calgary doing?" So
Now, do you have a lot of friends from Calgary or from Edmonton or anywhere in Canada that are down here?
not a lot of people came down, but I have met numerous people. It's like almost like a refugee camp for Canadian oil field people that left because it was pretty hard. A lot of the regulations hit Canada pretty hard. There's still some activity. It seems like it's coming back, but there's plenty of Canadians down here that are working, or at least even travel down. So I have met quite a few. The Vothoffers. There's an Amber Vothofer. She owns Elite Optimization, an engineering firm, and she grew up in Edmonton just like me, big Oilers fan. So they're definitely everywhere. She'll have a party every once in a while, and someone's from Red Deer, and someone's from this little town, and it's just crazy. It's like the unofficial, what are they? Embassy of Alberta. I call it sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, isn't
in
that
Midland.
crazy?
Yeah.
Do you go to any Jacks games?
I haven't actually. I've took my son. The Dallas Stars had a great program for, getting kids into hockey. So I took my son to the stadium, met a bunch of the guys who kind of organized all that. But I haven't actually made it to one of the games just because we're chasing after the kids, and if we're going to do something, they got to be on board. So they'd rather stay at home and watch the Oilers play that kind of hockey. Eventually, we got to get them to the Jackalopes game and see how they do. So, and then I can probably make the move and spend the money and take them to an actual Oilers-Dallas game. So
That's how I've known a few Canadian guys. Here is my son played for the Junior Jacks since he was 6, and so guys like Adam Doyle, I don't know if you know him, some others that played for the Jacks when they were the CHL team. Once that got sold, and they just stayed and worked, and they're all in oil field, and their kids played hockey. So that's kind of how I met them, and I was a minority owner for the Jacks for a couple of years.
Wow.
With Adam and a couple other guys that are from Canada. They're still down here. But it's just funny because you don't have as strong of an accent as some of those guys. And I have not yet heard you say and no.
I have worked
help me with that.
diligently on that to make my non-regional diction, some people say I sound like I'm from Minnesota sometimes or something like that.
I was going to guess that, yeah.
And I've worked hard because my wife, when she speaks, when my family comes down, it's even apparent to me how bad their Canadian accent is. And I'm like, man, I don't want to sound like that.
Well, you may not sound like you're from Canada, but I know you know some of these words. So
sir.
I'm going to give you a couple of words here, and you tell me what do they mean, or the first thing that comes to your mind, something like that. So these are things that I've just read about from Canada. So bagged milk.
So bagged milk, something on the East Coast that they instead of cartons, they sell it in bags.
Like plastic bags?
Like a plastic bag.
Of milk.
Of milk. It is.
That's crazy.
So then on the West Coast, we'll use it as like an insult to like a fat out of shape guy. You're like, you're just a bag of milk and stuff. So
that's good.
But I've never had any bagged milk, but it does exist.
So say, what does it taste like?
It's exactly the same, but why they feel it has to be in a bag, I don't know, but that is true.
Timbits.
So Timbits. So Starbucks here.
Yeah.
There's a place called Tim Hortons.
Tim Horton coffee. Yeah.
A hockey player, of course. Canada. Everything's got to be hockey related. And Timbits are basically like the little donut holes you'd get anywhere else, and they just call them Timbits. And you got to get your double at
double at Tim Hortons. Yeah. Freezies.
So freezies is what we would call like your little, man, I don't even like ices here. What would you call them? They're just little
like a frozen popsicle.
Yeah. But it's you cut the little top off so that's the Freezy brand.
That's the Freezies. Okay. Pea meal bacon.
Ooh, you got me on that one. I don't know what that is.
Really? Pea meal? Maybe I'm saying it wrong.
Let me see.
Pea meal bacon. That look right? No?
I've never heard that term in my life.
I saw that somewhere. I don't even know what it is. That's what I was going to ask you. Okay, butter tarts.
So butter tarts is a pastry.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan, but they're just filled with sugar and butter and just little cup things that you just eat and they're terrible for you, but they taste good.
Yeah.
We have a lot more junk food.
You do. I did find that out. Yeah. Parkade.
Ooh. I remember that term, but I don't. It's an older
parking garage.
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
I'm gonna park in the parkade.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe I didn't say it right. I should put an A on the end of it.
Parkade. Yeah. Okay.
Parkade. Eh?
Yeah. Let's get into the parkade. Okay. Yeah.
Poutine.
Okay. Poutine's a good old French dish where you got your French fries, and I've never been a fan of the actual poutine because it's French fries, gravy, and cheese curds. But I love
you lost
French
me there. Yeah.
French fries and gravy are amazing.
Yeah.
Like if you ever just like turkey gravy or from like
cream gravy. Yeah.
You just put that with French fries, man, it's really good. But the French and the East Coast, once again, they got to add some cheese, and it's just too
trick it up a little bit.
Too much.
Oh wow. Okay. All right. Let's get a little serious now, because part of your bio was COVID happened, and you I think had to reinvent some things or do some stuff. So walk me through that journey of that season of COVID and how you use LinkedIn to kind of refigure yourself.
It's a story I've kind of told a few times. It was featured in, the Society of Petroleum Engineers magazine. Basically, I was an operations guy for many, many years and always concentrated on what I knew versus, who I knew. Like, I figured, whatever operational experience I have, like even years and years ago, before LinkedIn was a lot bigger, when you used to search a horizontal completionist, my name would pop up in the like I was a really experienced, horizontal wireline, guy, worked in the Middle East, but all that didn't really matter when COVID came. Oil went negative. I had just gone back over to Schlumberger, started my first sales gig, and there was an amazing young lady over there, Maciel Diaz. She's big on LinkedIn. Everybody's seen her. She's the co-host of Flipping the Barrel, and I saw what she was doing on LinkedIn, and I was like, this girl's got it figured out. Like, we're going to not be able to take meetings here. We're not going to be able to do some of this stuff. So I took to LinkedIn, and that actually got me a couple extra months of employment with Schlumberger. And eventually they shut the whole thing down and had to let me go because it just wasn't working. There was nothing left, right? So I knew instead of now trying to market wireline products or something online, I became the product. And I had to market myself and make my own opportunity. It was a matter of, not waiting for the phone to ring because you sent out a whole bunch of resumes, because everybody was doing that. So I thought of resume or like interview questions that someone might ask me, and started making little videos like that. Problems I'd solved, issues I'd faced. One time in our P&L, I started seeing our depreciation bump up, but I was like, we haven't bought anything. What's going on? I delved into this. Somebody mistakenly put, I was a wireline operations manager. They were putting drill collars. So I was paying for somebody else's drill collars. And I'm like, hey, guys, there's no drill collars over here, right? So just being able to go through a P&L like that was what I was telling. And eventually, some people reached out, and I got on David Gibson's show, J.P. Warren, a few others, and they were like, man, you're doing these videos, why don't you start your own little thing? And I was like, yeah, that's just what the world needs, another podcast. But he was like, nah, go ahead. So I started kind of doing it, and then getting asked to go to shows and interview people. And eventually, it wasn't a wireline opportunity I got run into. I ran into people wanting to do midstream work. And I was like, okay, I don't really know shit about midstream, but enough to be dangerous, and I need a job, so let's make this work. Right. So made the transition, and the LinkedIn was getting recognized. Like my new company, I'd be walking around with the guys, and all of a sudden somebody would just walk up and be like, Keith, I saw you all over LinkedIn. Man, it's really nice to meet you, right? And it was weird. I'd be with my family in the grocery store, and some random guy would walk up and be like, man, I saw you on LinkedIn. Really, really nice to meet you. So that turned into, sales is all about kind of the longer game, and you got to take time to build up your network. But using LinkedIn like that really has accelerated it for me. I've probably done almost 10 years of networking in 3 or 4 because of it. And
what year was this?
So that was 2020.
It was right in the middle of COVID.
Right at the COVID, right?
Yeah.
And started that, and it's just gotten progressively bigger to where, like, tomorrow I'm hosting a guy, the CEO of Kodak Oil and Gas, Kenneth Wilkinson. Man, I hope I'm saying his last name right. But anyway, Kenny's a great guy. He's so opinionated. You've seen him on LinkedIn. He's always either making a comment or a post about something to get people riled up.
Right.
He'll say anything. But matter of fact is the guy's been around a long time. Probably a third of the drilling superintendents or drilling managers in the U.S. have been trained or worked with this guy. He's quite the guy.
Is he going to be in studio with you?
No,
or
we're just doing it, live, remote, computer. And, I've had the privilege to do, shows with Top Gun instructors, like actual Navy Top Gun, right?
Not Tom Cruise.
Not Tom Cruise, but the real deal.
Is he Canadian?
Tom Cruise? No, he is not.
Yeah, okay. All right.
No, he's 100% American.
Yeah.
I've had people, shock me. I had one lady at a show. She was talking about her charity, and how it got started was she survived a 737 plane crash in Denver.
Oh, wow.
And I was just like, what?
Yeah,
like not everybody gets to walk away from a fiery plane crash, but she did. I've had NFL players, NHL players. I've had all kinds of, different people all over the industry telling all kinds of different, stories and success stories, problems. And a lot of different technologies as well, where, somebody will want to come on and talk about XYZ, and I'm just like, come on. Like, I had one great one about micro refineries and the ability that we have that we don't need all these big permitting. You can get a small 10,000 barrel refinery permitted in Texas in 45 days.
Wow.
They'll build the modules down in Houston. You can have this thing up and running in 18 months. And you can have your
What's the name of the show?
It's Tallybook Troubleshooting. I do it on Tuesday, so we kind of have a hashtag Tallybook Tuesday.
Tallybook Tuesday.
A great lady named Janie Snelson came up with that name. And if you don't know her, she's been coined the unofficial mayor of Midland. So that nickname is very warranted. She's done sales around here for 35 years, and she knows everybody.
That's awesome.
That's actually probably the biggest thing that ever happened to me was when I was doing those videos. She saw me, liked what I was doing, reached out, And it was like she gave me her blessing to, like, you know, hey, you're part of the Midland, you know, Permian group now, and now you can kind of, because a lot of this place is, you know, kind of cliquey, and you have to have been growing up here to get into some of these doors, and just having her and a lot of other people like her as a, you know, as friends and mentors has done wonders for me.
That's a great point. So that was in 2020, and you're still doing that. So that's been something that you've found your space in. But you're also as a chief strategy officer.
Currently a chief strategy officer for American Safety Services.
Right. So how did you get to that position?
So same kind of thing. I was with a company that wanted, you know, an in to the Permian, and they kind of made some bad choices to where, okay, here I am looking again, and I wasn't actually looking for, you know, to go to safety or anything. Another company had actually approached me doing a couple other things, but when I met the people over there, they're really, really great. Kevin Hokett is the owner, and great folks. They grew up in Artesia, local here for 24 years. They got 365 employees. Like they're a big company, and they do not just safety, but they do environmental. They do rescue, which is something I never really considered. You know, that safety companies do. Like they do the high angle rescues. So when you're going into confined spaces, they're the ones on standby, ready to, you know, get you out of a bad situation. So it's been an interesting, you know, journey over there. I'm kind of on my own little island because they do have a sales group, but I kind of like help bring in newer opportunities, help with some MSAs and stuff like that.
Right.
And they're just like, Keith, you got this thing going, just kind of keep doing it and doing it on behalf of American safety. So that's kind of where I find myself right now. And the idea is to get on shows like this, let them know. And it's not next week, but it's on the 6th, February 6th.
Okay.
The Produced Water Society is having a conference in Houston. They've invited me to do some shows there, do some episodes with the Crude Truth in at NAPE.
Yeah.
The Permian Basin Bass Invitational in April. They work with the Make-A-Wish Foundation. They've asked me to come do a whole bunch of interviews. I went last year. Was very, you know, when you talk to some of the Make-A-Wish families, you don't know what to expect, right? Like there was a particular lady, they were like, oh, her son was a recipient 7 years ago. And I'm like, well, 7 years ago, I'm thinking in the back of my mind, is he still with us?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's still
and
around.
then you talk to him, he is, oh my God, this gave him, you know, the Make-A-Wish thing, and it was amazing. It's not just trips to Disney World that they're doing. This kid wanted to be in the Army, so the Army Rangers took him all the way to the base in Virginia, and they had live rounds at 4 a.m., and they had this kid who, you know, basically in a wheelchair, getting him through this whole week of an amazing experience. And that kid now has just graduated and is getting to the point where he'll actually be able to serve in a fighting role in the Army, and that was always his wish, was to somehow serve the United States military. So when you go do some of these shows, you come across some of these things, it's been a pleasure. I did the LinkedIn stuff has been amazing. So ever since I did get work, I've tried to give back. It's not as big anymore because I can't get people. You know, you try and help folks, but if they're not willing to help themselves, it's really. I used to do a lot every Friday, something called Pay It Forward Friday, and I would feature somebody else, you know, looking for a job, and I knew if I just posted them, they would get a little bit more views and a little bit more traction. And I've had people where I went to it was the short course in Lubbock last year, and they asked me to do a few episodes from there. Guy comes running up to me. He's like, Keith, I want to thank you so much, man. You've done so much for me. I got this job. And I'm like, at first, I'm like, man,
what's going on?
Who are you? Yeah. Like, I don't write. Yeah. And then it kind of clicked with me. The guy's name was Eric, and I'd done a Pay It Forward Friday for him. And he ended up getting a job interview that day, a few job offers the next day where he was able to save his house. And I was just like, awesome. Holy crap, man. So then we actually did a little episode there, kind of rehashing what had happened. And it was, you know, it's amazing. I've been able to, last year, man, it's been 2 years actually. Yeah. I got in this little, we called it war or fight or a battle, but there's another great guy online, JP Warren.
Okay.
And we were growing our hair for Sky High for Kids. And when you grow it and you can donate it, you also can raise money for it. Well, instead of doing the typical, hey, can you donate to me? We agreed to kind of do a little battle, Houston versus Midland. You know, who's got the bucks here, right?
Who's got hair?
Yeah. So we basically came down and we were raising money, and I ended up just over $13,000 to cut my hair, and he was $12,009, whatever. Like, I think I beat him by just about $300. He actually kept raising money after our hair was cut, so he was like, well, maybe. And I was like, no. I was like, at the time our hair cut, I had won, man. So
yeah, he's that guy, huh? Okay.
Oh no, he amazing guy. But like when you do things like that, you know, people.
Yeah.
You're that haircut guy, right? Or you're that LinkedIn guy who helps people get jobs or something. So I've tried to give back as much as it's done for me, because it has done wonders. And I've tried to help guys, because some guys, there's one particular guy, I can think of it right now. I just saw him post another thing where he's always just whining and crying about like how unfair everything is. And I'm like, dude, nobody wants to see you beaten. You know, you're right. They want to see you still got some fight left in you. You're positive. You're going to contribute, right? And he's like, okay. And then he'll go back and I'm like, man, giving you the advice, it's got to be up to you to.
Yeah, you got to make the decision.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, you are a fascinating person and a fascinating journey. I would just want to sit under you and listen to you even more as you continue to share. But I've got to know, tell me about your leadership style. What you have a team at American Safety, and you've been doing this tally book and you've been investing in people's lives. Tell me, what's your leadership style and who do you follow as a leader?
So I've always tried to be a servant leader, get a little bit better. Over the years, I just tried to set a good example as well. If I could, my style has definitely evolved over the years. And as you get more experience, you know, I think that's true with anybody. But it's what do you need from me today? You know what I mean? To help you be successful. And I think anybody who's in management, that should be their number one goal. It shouldn't be to overmanage their people, because then they're like, why am I here if you're just, you know, going to tell me, you know, if I'm just a pawn anyway? What was the point of all the experience, right? And to me, it doesn't matter if, you know, if we're going from A to C, if you can skip B on the way to C, great. If you need to go through B, but to me, just make sure C is successful, and let's take the journey. So my way might be one I like to do it, but if you got a different way, I am pretty accepting of that, as long as we're not hurting anybody, we're not cutting any corners, and that's taken years to kind of accept. So I think that would be my style. I've had lots of employees over the years as an operations manager that still, you know, when I reach out to them, still call me boss and stuff, and happy to talk to me. And some guys obviously hated my guts too. So there's a lot of that. So I think, you know, you try and hit the middle as best you can, and I think I did that.
What drives you to be successful?
You know, right now, success start out when you're younger. You chase money, but right now, I'm probably the most successful guy you know, because of just the way my lifestyle is. I see my kids all the time. Like a lot of people, they're like, you know, they're working out in the field, they're doing, and it's great. I did all that when I was younger. I worked overseas in Iraq, sacrificed all this time to get to a place where now I get to do all this stuff with my kids, spend all this time with my wife. You know, we're not rich, but I eat what I want. You know, if I want filet tonight, I'm going to go have filet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We don't go on big lavish vacations, but we did actually go to Disney World for the first time here. My first time going. We spend all this time together. I think a lot of people work themselves almost to death to get to the point where I am right now. I get to spend all this time with my wife and my kids and family, and I basically get to do what I want. I'm here talking to you. Like, I'm not, oh, I had a meeting, or I'm just so exhausted. Don't get me wrong. I think I reached out to about 400 people today through text messages, LinkedIn messages, all kinds of different things. But I'm in a good place where, you know, I don't have to kill myself. And I think if more people kind of looked at it that way, you know, all the best to you. You want to have all the money, you're going to buy a fancy Ferrari. I wouldn't mind having a, you know, this. Or I was talking to my wife, we changed the countertops, and then at the same time, we're like, why do we got to change the countertop? These countertops
why do we
are
have to
fine.
do that?
You know what I mean? Our house is beautiful. Like, if I was going back to growing up and saw where I am now, I'd just be like, wow, man, you truly are rich. So I think that is success for me now, is trying to be more in control of my own destiny, I guess.
Well, I want to wrap up our time. Thank you so much for being here, but I do want to ask you a couple more questions. One is, who does Keith listen to? Who do you allow to sit at your table like we are here that pours into you, and what do you want to be known for?
Great question. One of my biggest mentors here right now, and has been for the last few years, I mentioned her earlier, Janie Snelson. You know, she taught me that nothing good happens after 9 o'clock. You know what I mean? Like, for sales, we all think you got to go out and party and do all these things, and no big real deals or relationships get built after that. She's closer to, you know, God, and I respect her huge. Another one is my wife. Without her, she's the one she was the salesman. Like, she went to school, Baylor, for professional sales. That was her degree. I didn't know jack about sales, and now that I've been into it a lot, I owe my old salesman when I was operations manager probably a sorry. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't get that. But
do over.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Like, you were doing and it's harder, and it's very emotional. So those are the people. You know, there's several others. David Gibson's been great. JP Warren's great. You know, I got great friends with James Hayes and Janaea Rolfing. I could just keep on rattling off names, all kinds of people that have been great. Sonia Eichler has been great to me, very supportive. Things I want to know for is, you know, my dad wasn't quiet, and he would always let his opinion be known, and I was a lot like that. My wife has kind of tamped that down, because there's a time and place for certain things, but I do want to try and give back to, especially here in Texas. I see as an immigrant, you know, there's an old Texas or old way of the United States. I think that we need to appreciate a lot more, and not be afraid that it was bad in any kind of way. And I think a lot of people that maybe grow up here sometimes take some of that for granted. Seeing some of the
Great point.
Some of the stuff up in Canada, what they lost with freedoms, like, there's a guy named Jordan Peterson who won't use somebody's pronouns. He's one of the smartest men in the world. They're taking away his license, medical license, because of wrongthink. And that's kind of stuff is coming here. They've made handguns completely illegal. You know, whatever your feelings on guns are, is having that freedom one way or the other is something you don't want to lose, because once you lose it, you usually don't get it back, right? And there's once again a time and place for all these conversations. But I've tried giving back with the Oil and Gas Workers Association. I want people to go out and vote and educate themselves, no matter what you come to. I want to be known as the guy who always mentions 0.04%. That's the percentage of CO2 in the atmosphere. Like, as an oil industry, I actually have this fancy belt buckle here. I was hosting the AADE Operator Forum, and there was 120 people in the room, and I asked everybody if they could name the percentage of CO2 with confidence in that room. Oil execs, from operators to service companies, and only about 4 people raised their hands. And I think the fact that we get attacked for global warming because of CO2 emissions, and CO2 is not even in the top 3 of gases in the atmosphere, is kind of, hey, it's something we should all kind of discuss here, because there's a lot of benefits to CO2. I'm not saying the oil industry is perfect, But it's not the CO2 that's the problem here. There's other issues. I think water is going to be something that's a bigger issue. So I'm hoping to work with a group, doing a little bit of work with them. I love working with the Permian Warrior Partnership.
Great organization.
Man, they're awesome. Yeah. I want to do more for them, help them do some luncheons. I was doing some luncheons for the oil and gas workers, and it was kind of taking off. And now I've kind of handed off the reins to a guy named Derek Black, and all the best to him. I hope they keep doing it. Not that I'm just leaving it, but I just, as I was kind of leading it, more people need to get involved. So it's like, okay, here, let's get some more ideas in there.
Great event over at Tall City last week.
Well, that's the pipe. What was it? Pipeliners.
Pipeliners.
Yeah. We have, and another thing we'll be known for is always sticking up for the Permian. A lot of people kind of dog down on this area. Oh, it's not pretty, it's dusty, it's dirty. And I'm like, the people are amazing.
It is what it is.
All the people are amazing. There's always something to do. And I think in the future, if we could get the produced water, where I think it's going with a lot of the technologies that are coming out, we could start irrigating the land with a lot of the produced water instead of putting it down hold and all these saltwater disposals. We could turn this place a vibrant green, lush grasslands, and you could take a satellite picture today, and once they get that handled, I think this place would look amazing, and it'd be the envy of a lot of places because we deal with a lot of water. We just kind of got to get it to a more economical place of treating it.
Great point. Well, I appreciate, Keith, Kevin from Calgary.
Calgary is always at your disposal.
Being here and being on the show, I'm better for this conversation, and I appreciate that. Looking forward to hanging with you a little bit more at some point down the road. I wish you great success on your LinkedIn shows and tally book and everything that you're doing, and I appreciate your time. And thank you again for joining with us on the Catwalk. Again, we will see you all next week.
Elevate your operation with Performance Chemical Company, the pioneers in redefining chemical solutions for the oil and gas industry in the Permian Basin. Unveiling groundbreaking ideas since 2017, our dry chemistry plant stands as a testament to innovation. Our products and services revolutionize water treatment, production, midstream, and saltwater disposals. We're your strategic partners in optimizing investments, slashing operating expenses. Performance Chemical Company. How you get there matters.